Friends, 30 years later, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's go back. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Gen X Unfiltered, the podcast.
What's up, everybody?
Yo, yo.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Yes, long time no see.
Oh, it's a pleasure, folks.
It's been a good 10 minutes
Yeah.
since we recorded our last podcast.
That's
Doing
true.
back-to-back episodes tonight.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to tell the people the secret.
That's some
filming.
BTS to the magic.
That's right.
Yeah, it's batch film. Saves everybody's life. All right, but today we are talking about the 30th anniversary of the ever popular TV show Friends.
Oh my God,
30
Friends
years.
premiered 30 years ago.
I'll
crazy.
be there
Oh,
for
I was a wee
you.
2-year-old lad.
I could play the theme song. It's still on the board, but we got a copyright strike.
Yeah, they don't
on it.
like
Oh, thanks,
so
Rembrandt.
We'll just sing it. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall.
That's right. You always have that clap.
The clap.
You can't not do that clap when you hear
Okay,
it.
before we even start, because I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody out there has heard of Friends. You may not have watched it, but you've heard of it. You know some of the characters.
Yeah.
You know of it at the
It
very
was one of those
least.
shows you could not escape even if you didn't watch
Right.
it.
Oh, it was
So
huge.
my first question to you guys is, back when it came out in 1994, did you watch Friends, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric, did you watch Friends?
No, I thought it was a Seinfeld tag-along.
I honestly never watched Friends when it first premiered. I didn't know anything about it. My
Yeah.
friend, I went to her house and her older sisters were watching it.
Yeah.
And so the very first episode I ever saw, which I don't know, I don't think it was no, it wasn't the premiere episode. It was like the first season though. But it
Yeah.
was the one where Ross and Racheal go to the laundromat and they do their laundry.
Okay, that's pretty early
It's
on.
early.
I
Like
gonna
it
say,
was
yeah.
probably, but that was the first episode I ever saw.
Yeah.
Again, I started kind of watching it more regularly as the seasons went on, and then I was like an avid watcher, and I can tell you that I have literally rewatched that series at least 3 times a year.
Yeah, well, it's on Netflix up here still, right?
I don't know. It was, and it wasn't.
and yeah, it was
It
one
bounces
of the-
between
yeah.
streaming
I
services.
think it's on another streaming but yeah, I mean, I've literally watched it no less than 3 times a year. It's my comfort show. It's
Yeah.
my don't have to pay attention to show. Like, it's just, I love it.
Yeah, no, I definitely watched at the time. Seinfeld and Friends. I watched both of those. Like, I think they were on like back to back or within the same like hour and a half
Yeah.
or something like that. So I definitely watched them both. But yeah, no, Friends was massive.
Okay,
Yeah.
but here, just for anybody, like a super 10-second little synopsis or a sort of history of it in the
Yep.
show. But Friends premiered on September 22nd, 1994 on NBC and quickly became a cultural touchstone. It centers on 6 friends, Racheal, Ross, Monica, Chandler, Joey, and Phoebe, living in New York City as they navigate their personal and professional lives. I mean, that's just basically the crux of it.
It doesn't sound very funny from the that description, but
Where's the laughs?
yeah.
So, okay, the show was a massive hit, blending humor with heartfelt moments, and became known for its witty dialogue, memorable, wow, memorable catchphrases, and strong ensemble cast. Over 10 seasons, it garnered critical acclaim and a huge fan base, eventually becoming one of the most watched TV shows of all time.
Yeah, like
Wow.
Friends was everywhere.
It was a
like,
cultural,
in that,
like,
the 90s here,
phenomenon.
like it was massive.
Because
So-
it wasn't just a TV show. There was merchandise. Like, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
all over
Yeah.
the place. Yeah.
So, Friends concluded its run on May 6, 2004, but its popularity endured through reruns and streaming platforms, solidifying its status as an enduring cultural phenomenon. Its impact on fashion, language, and television storytelling remains significant.
So we actually have 2 anniversaries here, right? The anniversary of the premiere in 94, and then in 2004, it's been 20 years since the show ended.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, but yeah, you were saying when you heard the dates, I'm like, oh, that was
Yeah, because
pretty
it ran
close.
for 10 years. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to, like, I mean, you could talk for hours on Friends and take different,
Yeah.
you know, paths on what you want to talk about on Friends. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that how popular it still is today. It's huge.
That's the thing. It's sad. I mean, we're talking about, but like, you know, with Matthew Perry just passing away recently and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you realize how big Friends still is, and they had the reunion show. Was that last
No, that was like
2 years ago.
It got delayed because of COVID.
Well,
So I think it was like 22, maybe.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
that was a huge thing when they
Yeah.
got back together like that, and they didn't really
Huge.
do anything. They just
Yeah, but they did it right.
they did a good job. They didn't like do like a reunion like
No.
a TV show. It was just like them chatting, and who was it? James Corden was the host of it, and they just kind of
Yeah,
like
but
talked
they-
about their memories of the show and
No,
stuff like
but
that.
they
and,
also
like,
did cool things. Like, remember? I mean, I don't know if you guys watched it. I've watched it a few times, but
Yeah.
they did cool, like, where they read through some scenes from like iconic episodes.
okay,
That's
with their
right, yeah,
characters.
yeah.
Like, it was really cool. It was really well done, and it was really interesting.
Well, just
to
good they
hear
did
it.
it, because the worst thing they could do is be like, hey, let's do like a reboot with these
Yeah.
guys. Like, okay, that,
Well, they were all
Yeah.
kind of. I think it was one of those things like the magic was there,
Well, I think
and let's not. ruin
they're
the magic.
smart enough. It's almost like, like, I mean, but you hear like, you hear Seinfeld talk about why he, like, he went out at the top of the show. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I didn't want to, just it's over. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it. Let it live its life
Now,
like that.
one of the cool things about this ensemble cast was the fact that they were all very like on each other's side, right? So it wasn't like one was the bigger star than the other. Because I even think like in the 10th season when they all got major contract boosts because they wanted them to come back,
yeah.
they all were like, we get paid the exact same amount.
Yeah, that's really a really class move on the part of the
Yeah,
cast.
that is,
Yeah.
because that's the thing though. That show, like, there really wasn't one like star.
No, I mean,
Like,
people
they-
could say like now it'd be like, well, Jennifer Aniston was the biggest star because she kind of went on to do the most stuff, I guess. Per se.
afterwards, yeah, that's a whole other story.
But-
But like during the show though, like all
Well, they were-
6 of them, like story wise, from what I remember, like,
and also to
everyone
the
had their fair screen time
yeah,
and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
but
true.
also to the fact that like they were all basically pretty much unknowns when they got. I mean, they'd been, like
No.
Matthew Perry had been in bit parts, and they'd all been in bit
No,
parts.
Going into the show, I think Courtney Cox is probably the biggest star.
Yeah,
Yeah,
She was on a bunch of like different TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She played Michael J. Fox's girlfriend on Family Ties for for a season.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
who could forget the Bruce Springsteen
Dancing
in the Dark
yeah.
music video?
but none of them had really had their big break yet. So
Yeah.
they were all
no,
kind
no,
of like,
they were all like you said. You might have like even Matt LeBlanc. Like I remember him. Like he was on
Married with Children.
Yeah.
and a couple. And he was in like a spin-off show too with his.
and on Fox, yeah.
Yeah, I remember, like he lived with his dad or
but
something.
that was
like
after Friends.
No. This
Oh,
was
that
was
before
before,
Friends, but
yeah,
it didn't
yeah,
last
yeah.
long. But they all, yeah. So they were none of them were that
No.
well
No.
known. Like,
But like Eric said, I think it's really classy that the fact that even through the 10 years, like
Yeah.
I'd have to say some characters obviously were more popular than others. Like I think Racheal was probably one of the biggest popular characters.
Yeah.
yeah,
It wasn't
oh, yeah.
like she's like, I deserve more money. You
No,
know?
No,
and
exactly.
that's
She
that's
wasn't
nice
like-
because it's easy to do that, Roby. Like I carry the show. This
Yeah.
show is mine, and
Yeah. If
you know.
I left, it would hurt this show more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the way that in the show itself too, like they needed all 6 of them. Like none
Oh,
of them.
yeah.
If one of them had left, he probably could have done it. But
Yeah.
it would have not been the same. But
yeah, I mean, I think even if one, it would have been like The Office. They're
Yeah.
like, we can do a last season without Michael Scott. It was terrible.
Yeah. it just doesn't work.
That's a whole.
It doesn't work.
But it wasn't. There was a couple of seasons they did without him.
Whatever.
No, I'm just saying like that's.
But it doesn't work.
it's so hard to replace.
But
a
it would be
man.
the same. Like if Jim had left, it wouldn't have worked. If the main character like that in an ensemble cast, it just doesn't
No,
ever
no,
work.
No.
it totally screws it up. Yeah.
Because that's the beauty of the show is because of that ensemble. Like it just works.
Well, and that's always the thing too, and like just to sort of like watching The Office, but Friends kind of never changed its format with the 6 of them, and that's the one thing I found just not. But like the sidetrack, like with The Office, you could sort of tell in the last couple of seasons everybody wanted their screen time. So like characters that were like small players became like main character, and it just kind of threw off the dynamics of it. That was my personal feeling. Whereas Friends kind of.
it never changed.
It was the 6 of them from the beginning to the end. It wasn't like all of a sudden like it's all about Ross and Ray and nobody else. Like
Yeah.
there was always everyone had their equal storyline, so all the characters kind of
Yeah.
all important.
yeah.
You know,
So
it didn't get screwed up that way.
one of the big things is like I guess I kind of googled it because I was trying to like in my head I could think of things, but I wanted it kind of like written out. But like the impact that this show has had on popular culture, like
Yeah.
I mean, Eric said it really briefly earlier, but like it wasn't just a TV show. I mean,
Yeah.
there was merchandise, there was
Soundtracks.
soundtrack.
Yeah, music was huge
I
from
mean,
that
I
show.
had that. I had the soundtrack.
Yeah,
I have
that-
I even have a friend shirt. Oh, I should be wearing it today.
Oh.
I think it's dirty. I just wore it.
You
But-
have the door frame too, right?
yeah, I have like they have just tons of little like
The
Yeah.
people frame. That's what I mean.
yeah, and it's just tons of little stuff like that I mean I have for my birthday this year. I think it was Eric and my sister, ironically, both bought me the exact same Friends notebook. Like it's just
That's
like
right,
I
yeah.
love it. Like there's so much stuff, and I love Friends. Like it's just one of those. It just
Yeah.
makes me smile to rewatch it. It just makes me laugh.
Well, and it's one of those things that too. I've seen a few. I've seen episodes here and there since it aired, but like it kind of holds like in terms of what they're talking about and stuff like that. It's still relatable today. Like
Yeah.
it's not
Well, because
so,
it's about 20-somethings in their life, navigating life, right?
Yeah, like it was relatable then, and it's still kind of relatable. It's not completely outdated
Yeah.
and
So,
stuff now.
really quickly, its impact on popular culture. Friends popularized several trends from hairstyles, like the Racheal cut,
I remember
to the
that.
yeah.
to the coffee shop culture, as the Central Perk Cafe became an iconic symbol.
Yeah.
The
Gunther.
show also influenced how friendships and relationships were depicted on TV, combining humor with heartfelt moments in a way that resonated with audiences.
Yeah.
Its success led to a massive fan base, numerous awards, enduring popularity and syndication. And again, it's just saying that it shaped the culture from the 90s to the early 2000s. But yeah, I mean, those simple things like the Racheal haircut. I think every girl had the Racheal haircut.
That
I did.
that Racheal haircut was like a thing. Yeah.
It was
yeah.
iconic. The coffee shops, like how popular were coffee shops?
Oh, I remember they were like, it was, before, because this is before Starbucks was really a thing, right?
It was like
So
little
the-
internet cafes, like cafe coffee
it's like
shops.
independent. Like I remember there's a few where I lived. Yeah.
Yeah, and
like,
the big cups. It had to be the big cups.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That's
the
right.
big
Those had those
coffee
big,
mugs.
like, mugs and stuff like that. Those looked good.
Lattes and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many things that like that show influenced in popular culture.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it was like I said. That show was massive. Like it's crazy how big it was for a. It's hard to imagine now because even still back then, there wasn't. There's only so many channels on TV.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a ton of competition for this thing. It didn't get kind of lost in the airwaves. So like it was still big and huge, and everybody was watching it. Like,
Yeah.
No, there's lots of copycat shows too, right? Like,
Well, that's the
two
thing, you
guys
sort
and
of
a
get
girl
to-
in a pizza place, and like sort of like the same kind of
Yeah.
young ensemble cast.
Yeah, they're trying to. Oh, that worked for them. Let's
Yeah.
do our
let's
own
make our
version.
own, yeah.
So,
But really quickly though, I'm gonna ask you guys. I know, like Eric, you probably like. I know you've all have varying levels of how much you watch Friends. So just based on what
Full
you know-
disclosure, I have not seen every single episode. I've seen lots of it though.
Right.
I know like basically
Right.
what happens during the
So
course
I'm
of the
just
show.
saying when I ask you this question, just base it on what your knowledge is, not
Got
like
it.
whatever.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick one, who would you say is your favorite character, just based on the knowledge you have from watching?
Me?
Both
Oof.
of you. You have to pick one.
I would say Joey, I guess.
Joey was good.
I was like Chandler.
Chandler's
He
good
was
too.
good. He was funny. He was sarcastic and
He was
Yeah.
such a dork, but like,
yeah.
but Joey was funny because he was so dumb, but he had the biggest heart.
Well, that was the thing
Yeah.
too. That
But he
was always
wasn't
his
really
thing.
dumb. He was just like
He was dopey.
he
he
was
was-
dopey
It's fair to say he was dopey.
because he was just like
And he played it up too.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, how
yeah.
you doing? Like he was
Yeah.
funny.
Well, he was like the kind of supposed to be like the heartthrob of. He was the best looking of the three guys on that show for
I-
sure. He's supposed to be like the cool guy. But
I
Yeah.
think one
he was
of-
the actor, right?
I think
Yeah.
one of the most underrated like duos, if you had to kind of, because they all kind of had their different relationships with each
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
But one of the most underrated duos
Can I
on that
guess?
show.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Joey and Phoebe?
Yeah.
Oh, I
'Cause
knew
they
it.
were hilarious.
Yeah, they're
together.
hilarious together.
And
It's
like,
true.
because Phoebe was kind of like the girl version of Joey.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
just so perfect together, and like the one-liners.
But
and
they
just-
never hooked up, right?
No, but that's
No.
perfect. Like to
Yeah.
have them hook up would have made zero sense.
Yeah.
Zero sense.
I do think Lisa Kudrow doesn't sometimes get her fair due on that show.
She doesn't. She was
really good.
brilliant on
Yeah.
that.
She is
show.
hilarious. I've heard her on like some podcast. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know she's like super good friends with Conan O'Brien. I was listening. She was on his
Oh, that's
podcast
cool.
a lot, but
She's
she is-
brilliant.
and she's done a lot of stuff too after Friends and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if she kind of got, especially with like Jennifer Aniston,
Yeah.
who became like, I would have the three of them. The three females, Jennifer Aniston definitely became like the
big star.
biggest out of the three of them.
Yeah.
I would say
Well,
in
and then
terms
her
of like.
and Monica were kind of like, for lack of a better word, like but I'm just saying in general speaking, like they were kind of like the hot ones.
Well, I
or,
mean,
like,
not
popular
but
ones.
look at the way they, what they would.
Yeah, exactly.
The way they were dressed and their style on the show. Phoebe was supposed to be more of like a
Eccentric,
Like a
hippie.
hippie-ish, so she would
Yeah.
wear like more.
But
you know.
Phoebe and Joey are like one of my favorite duos.
Yeah.
Like they're just so funny together. It just like they crack me up.
Yeah, no, they was like I said, they did a really good job casting that show. Like all
Yeah.
six of them did a really good job.
Did you ever hear Lisa Kudrow? She has a really good story about meeting Jerry Seinfeld.
Does that have to do with Friends?
Yeah,
Okay.
because little off
All right,
course
go
here.
ahead.
But I guess she met Jerry Seinfeld, and this is like after the Friends became a big hit.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, like introduce yourself," and he just turns to her and says, "You're welcome," because
Oh my God, I do not like him.
his whole thing was basically Friends is successful because they followed
Okay.
Seinfeld on the reruns in the summer.
Yeah.
So he's like, your show came after my show, so people watched it. So my you owe your success in part to my show.
What a d-bag. Was she
Yeah.
mad?
She kind of tells it like, yeah,
Well, that's
it
a-
wasn't the best impression for
Yeah,
no,
that's
I can
D-bag.
see like that is a pretty douchey thing to say.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Friends was like right off the gate pretty popular. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like it took 1 or 2 seasons to kind of build
No,
it up.
I mean, if it was a bad show, it would have
Yeah.
disappeared. Like,
Oh my gosh, I mean, I never liked him, but I really don't. You're on my bad list now.
Whoa.
Seinfeld.
you made the list, Jerry.
You made my list. How rude.
No
Yeah.
soup for you, Jerry.
Damn.
Ugh, that's so gross.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
I think I actually heard that story. I heard talking about that. It's like, what did, yeah.
Yeah, it's a dick move.
So here they had a list. Okay, for fun, why not use technology these days? What do they call it?
I have,
When you get the computer to tell you something, like the AI thing.
ChatGPT?
Chat GPT. This because I wanted to see what would come up. I said, what order was the most popular characters? Like the order of the most popular
Yeah.
characters.
Gunther
So
won.
this was their list. They came with, which I probably would agree with, but Racheal was the most popular.
Yeah.
Because she, came from a spoiled waitress to a successful person, like a
That's right. I
successful
forgot
career
she was
woman.
like the rich
Fashion.
kid.
Yeah.
And then she also had the fashion and the hairstyle, and she was just kind of like the pretty popular girl.
Mm-hmm.
But none of the characters, I shouldn't say that. Most of the characters, they weren't bad people. Like, you know how some shows, like, they're just bad people, but
like Seinfeld.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
There's not a lot of redeeming things about the characters in Seinfeld, but they're funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but these
Yeah.
they were just like nice characters. Second would be Matthew Perry, Chandler Bing,
Yeah. can
which
see
I
that,
think
yeah.
is good because he was hilarious in that show.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
The sarcastic humor, and I mean, not to mention the fact, like, I mean, by his own mouth, he did a bunch of those seasons completely,
Blitzed on drugs.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
and he was still that.
You can sort of tell sometimes. I remember they said you could.
The weight
Even he
loss,
said that you
the
could
weight
tell
gain.
watching the season. You could tell
Yeah.
whether he was.
Based on his weight.
Yeah, he was
He-
okay or not.
Yeah, exactly.
But he had the like quintessential one-liners,
Yeah.
like all the time.
Yeah.
Wasn't his whole thing, could I be any,
Yeah.
and then blah, blah, blah was the joke?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he just, and then of course the relationship with him and Monica. So interesting fact, I read somewhere, I heard somebody being interviewed or something about that, but Chandler and Monica were never supposed to be together. It was a hookup. It was supposed to be a one-night hookup.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. But when they saw the reaction of the fans to that episode, they're like, ooh.
Oh, this is
Ooh.
this is.
We hit a chord here.
I mean, and that was like half the run of the show, was
Yeah.
them being in a relationship.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was a really smart move because, like, at that point in time, Ross and Rachel had split up and got together so many times,
Ugh.
and it kind of ran its course.
Well,
Yeah.
So let's freshen things up and let's have like a new couple on the show, kind of help.
Yeah.
Move the
yeah,
story
and
along.
we can get rid of that.
But
Leave that story on the side. Of
I
Ross.
thought it was
Yeah.
really cool that it wasn't supposed to be that way. It just
Yeah,
they-
well, I mean, like, because I think that was like done left around the live studio audience too and stuff, wasn't it? So they get
Yeah.
like, an instant reaction.
Well,
like,
that's the
"Ooh,
thing.
wait,
They were
that's,
kind of like, "Ooh, dang, maybe we should
like,
explore this a little more."
Yeah, well, these people seem to really.
Because the whole thing is that like Chandler was always afraid of commitment, so he would never settle down.
That's right. He was.
I skimmed my mic with my hand. When I
oh,
was
I
like,
thought you were yawning.
No, I was rubbing my chin, and then I skinned.
Here's another fun fact I read: that they actually the writers wanted at some point when Monica and Chandler were together, they wanted Chandler, because remember there was that little era where he like moved away to go to work, and then there was that Selma Blair was in it, and it was like this temptation thing. They actually wanted Chandler to cheat on Monica.
Oh,
And he was like, no, like Chandler would never do that.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
will hate me. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He would never, ever, ever do that.
Yeah.
That's funny. I
So-
heard they did this, but the same thing on The Office. They said I remember hearing that they wanted John Krasinski to Jim to cheat
Yeah.
on Pam, and he was
Yeah.
like, no,
That would
Not
never
happening.
happen.
And they're like, yeah, and not like this won't go over. Like,
Well, it won't-
This can't be like a haha
Yeah.
type
Well,
thing to
it's
recover.
not-
This will ruin my character.
It
Ruin
wouldn't.
the show.
It wouldn't. Yeah, you wouldn't recover from it. But it also like it just based on their character, that wouldn't be what they would do.
Yeah.
Well, and that's something that's, like Joey. Sure, would make
It
Yeah.
would
sense.
be more forgivable.
Or to be like, okay, yeah, you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chandler's
Chandler,
like,
no.
Yeah, exactly. Because one thing I thought they did really perfectly was when their relationship was a secret. Didn't they try to like bait Chandler into kissing Phoebe?
Yeah, and he couldn't do
They
it.
couldn't do it exactly.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite.
Oh, I forgot.
episodes.
Yeah.
That's right. That's when they were trying to figure
it was
out,
like
'cause
they
knew
know
he
that
was-
you know that we know that I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, but nobody's saying
No
anything.
one's saying-
So they're
yeah.
trying to push him into like making it with Phoebe, and Phoebe's like
Yeah.
playing it up like, "I want you, Chandler."
Yeah,
It's really
he's like,
awkward.
oh, right,
And
I
he's
can't
like,
do it,
he's
yeah.
like, I give up, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was cute. Like he did a really good. They all did really good jobs. as
No, that's what I
characters.
said. Whoever did
So,
the casting did a really good job.
Number
there.
3 is Joey. Mostly just because his lovable and often clueless personality won over fans.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, he was like the player. The joke was like he was sleeping with, different women all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, he was a playboy.
Because he was like a B-list actor on the show, right? Like he was
Yeah.
on soap operas and stuff.
And even that was like he was like a failed actor for most of it. Then
Oh,
he
yeah.
finally
Yeah.
got that was his big break, was being on
Dr.
Drake Ramore.
Drake Ramore, thank you.
But I think
was
his
he on YNR?
Days of Our Lives.
Days of Our Lives. That was it.
Get it right.
Sorry. Good thing we have an expert here.
I knew it was one of the two. I couldn't remember if Days of Our Lives or Young and the
But
Restless.
it was his charm, and again, like he had like a giant heart. He would do anything for
Yeah.
any one of them.
Oh yeah. No, his
remember-
character was like
Because he was taking on Racheal and her kid, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
remember, I don't even remember, but like when Phoebe was pregnant on the show, and they made up this whole like I can't remember on the spot what it was, but she like in her Phoebe-ness was like, it was Racheal when Racheal was pregnant. Anyway, it was this whole thing, and he was like, okay, never mind, just skip that.
that went
Okay.
nowhere.
Got tracked. I got sidetracked.
Next.
They were all staring at me so intensely.
Well, I was just kind of
got
waiting to
nervous.
hear the story because I was like, I'm not too sure what.
But
you're
look
talking
at
about.
he like was gonna marry Racheal
Yeah.
when she thought he proposed to her after the birth.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
He was just a really good guy and like a really good friend.
No,
Yeah.
he was. He was just a good dude.
And then 4 is Monica. She was the obsessive cleaner
Yeah,
and
she was,
competitive nature,
and
but
chef.
She was also
Yeah.
warm and loyal. But I loved her character. I liked her character
She
a
did a
lot.
good job playing that like
Neurotic.
very neurotic, very like
competitiveness? Oh my
super
God.
competitive, but like
Yeah.
always kind of on edge.
Yeah.
Well, the whole big thing, right? She's so paranoid about cleaning that she had that closet was just like a complete mess. It was like her secret shame.
She was like always, I felt like the ball of anxiety.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ready to go off
100%,
at
yeah.
any point in
Yeah.
time.
And
Yeah.
she would
Yeah.
do that too. Something, she'd yell at like
Yeah.
high pitched, like
Oh, yeah.
yell. she'd
And
yell at
like
people and
my
stuff.
favorite would be like when her and Ross would get in the pissing matches with each other about who like did the most f ups in their life. in
Yeah,
front of
they
the
were
parents.
they were funny too.
Like,
Yeah, they were competitive.
You were caught smoking. Well, you made out with your teacher.
I remember they were doing that in front of their parents. I remember that
The
episode.
parents are just like
they were great too. Elliot
Yeah.
Gould.
Yeah, oh
I
my
don't
God.
know what the mother's name was, but Elliot Gould.
She
They
was
were
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
They were good.
They're hilarious.
It was when they were trying to keep their relationship,
Yeah.
Monica and Chandler, and then it was
Yeah.
the parents are just like, that
That's
was too
right.
much information. It was so funny.
The flashbacks were funny. Like whenever they go back to like Ross's
Yeah.
style back when he was like a
Yeah.
teenager and stuff,
Yeah.
The
with the
80s?
mustache
Or
and like the hair and
yeah.
stuff. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
like the
Yeah.
fro.
And
like
what's
the-
his name? Chandler had like the flock of seagulls like
Kinda
flow
hair,
going
yeah.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a good job with that.
Yeah.
So last, oh wait, what happened to? They actually didn't even include one person.
I was
on
going to say
this
we haven't talked
list.
about one person yet, and that
Yeah,
was
where's
like
the
the
last
main
They
one?
story.
deserve the last one, but
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
So number 5 in this list is Phoebe, Lisa Kudrow. Her quirky personality, offbeat humor, unique
Yeah.
perspective on life made her a beloved character, and her free spirit, which
Yeah.
fans liked.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I-
she was like I think she was underrated on that show. I think she
She
kind
was.
of
Yeah.
got-
She was on Mad About You before she was on Friends.
Yeah,
Well, they
that's
had-
right. Yeah,
they
'cause
had
that was
a
kind of like that weird
crossover.
crossover there.
Yeah.
she was the
She's the waitress.
Yeah.
That was the waitress. I was gonna say dog
Mad
walker,
About
but
You.
that was
Well, there was an episode, it must have been like season 1 of Friends, where Helen Hunt and her friend came to Central Park. And they thought
Oh.
Phoebe was the waitress from that
Smart.
show.
That's right,
But
yeah.
they're like, what are you doing here? And she's like, what? Like, it was,
Yeah,
Phoebe
yeah,
and her
just
like
like
dumbness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Phoebe's character was great. I don't love her as a standalone character. I think she was really good
No, I think
with other characters.
Yeah, she needed that. She was good in the ensemble. I think at doing like a Phoebe hour or would
It would have been too much, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need that mix of
Yeah, exactly.
kind of the other personalities to kind of bring it all together.
All
I
right.
have another Lisa Kudrow story if you're ready for
Yeah, I love her.
it. So when she was offered the role of Friends, remember the show Frasier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So remember the Roz character was like Frasier's producer, like on his radio show.
Yeah.
She was offered that role at the same time, so she had to choose between Frasier or Friends.
I mean, either one would have
Either
been good.
one would have been good. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's hard to picture her
as the Ross
Yeah,
character.
now
I
that
know.
they've done it, it's hard to see.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think Friends was the best choice for, like, looking back. I mean,
Yeah.
monetarily wise, she probably would have just as well on Frasier, but
Yeah.
I think just the, like, yeah.
Yeah. Not to, but yeah, I think so too.
She
yeah.
probably made the right choice, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. It's
Yeah.
hard to. I couldn't imagine her being the Ross character.
Yeah.
So they don't have one person on here.
I was
He
gonna say there's
deserves
one-
number 6.
Yeah, it's like we haven't talked about one person
Well,
at all yet.
I was waiting. So, okay, this is the Ross character. Many people love Ross. I think he has some funny moments. He has
Yeah.
some funny stuff. I think, like, there's been all this stuff online now about, like, Ross's character being actually really toxic.
Yes, I've heard that. They say if you watch it now with that kind of through that lens, it's,
It's like, ooh,
He's not a good dude.
You
yeah,
are.
he's
Yeah.
kind of a jerk.
And I don't think
Controlling.
Yeah. So here's the
It's all
thing.
about him.
So Ross Geller, portrayed by David Schwimmer, is a complex character who, while beloved by many fans, is often considered problematic for several reasons. His behavior in relationships can be seen as troubling. His on-again, off-again relationship with Racheal is marked by jealousy, possessiveness, and manipulation. For instance, his insistence on the "we were on a break" defense regarding his infidelity highlights his tendency to rationalize questionable actions. Additionally, Ross's repeated divorces and his controlling nature in some episodes contribute to his problematic portrayal. His character flaws extend beyond relationships, with moments of arrogance, with a lack of self-awareness. While Friends often presents his quirks, some viewers and critics argue that these traits can be problematic when viewed through a modern lens, raising questions about how the show portrays and normalizes certain behaviors. All right, so the Ross character.
Yeah.
I'll admit I didn't see a lot of this stuff until I kind of went down the rabbit hole on the internet of people's thoughts and theories on this.
Yeah.
But if you do go back and think about it, do I think that Ross was like an evil guy with bad intentions? No. Do I think he was manipulative and wanted his way and would do whatever he could to get his way? Yes.
Yeah. It's one of the, I mean, I remember watching it, and I would never have really thought about this stuff, but people kind of point out, it's like, okay, I can see where they're coming from, but I don't think the intentions of that character were to be like,
No.
This might change your mind. You ever watch those clips on YouTube where they take the laugh track out?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
Ross in a scene, kind of, what you're talking about, like trying
Yeah.
to rationalize stuff.
Yeah.
But there's no laugh track to go along with it. It's like, oh my God, what's this guy saying?
yeah.
It paints Ross in a whole different light.
I
Yeah.
think one of the things too is that, like, for me, the whole, like, I never liked Ross and Racheal together. Just gonna put that out there. Never really dug it. Never
dare
really
you.
vibed
What a hot
with it.
take.
But I'm just saying, like, I think because, and again, Racheal had her own mind, but I think that he just never let her go for that time. He always was like, of course he cheated. She was like,
Yeah.
screw you. And
Yeah.
he kept trying and trying, but he never, like, he would always try and draw her back in, but then be like, I don't know, I can't even explain it, but he was just never kind
He
of
just
let
didn't
her
know how to quit
go.
her.
But he never wanted her some of the times. I mean, he
Yeah.
did, but like didn't. But he was always jealous. Wouldn't let Racheal live her life, even though he was out living his life, going
Yeah.
to marry somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I do think that Racheal and Ross had a lot of funny moments, like when they get drunk in Vegas and get married.
Oh,
That's
that was a good, I remember
hilarious.
that one, yeah.
But Ross as a character, I mean, he had funny moments. The leather pants.
Yeah, that was good.
Hilarious.
I remember him and Courtney Cox dancing on was it New Year's Eve?
Yes, that was funny.
was pretty funny.
Him and Monica were good together.
Yeah.
But I just overall found his character was just very like, woe is me.
Well, he
Like
was
Eeyore.
definitely,
Yeah.
he was kind of more of that vein as the character,
Yeah.
like
Played the
this, like,
victim.
he had
Yeah.
this, like his wife left him for another woman and like
Yeah.
all this other stuff. So he was kind of like woe is me, like considering he was like was he a paleontologist?
He was like the smartest one out of
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, so he's obviously like his PhD and stuff. Like, he's a smart dude making probably tons of money and stuff like that. But in
Yeah.
terms of like his personal life was kind of not.
Did that whole
Nearly
storyline die in the vine, like his first wife and his kid? Did that kind of go through the whole show?
Well, his kid was on it
Yeah.
sporadically.
Okay,
And, the,
okay.
and the ex-wife was sporadically on it
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
So it was always like, more in the early seasons it was the thing than
Yeah.
the later
They
seasons.
kind of went, yeah.
Once,
It's like-
but like it was still kind of like there. Like they'd mention,
they couldn't not get
Carol.
not
Okay.
acknowledge it. But
It wasn't like the kid on Family Matters went up the
No,
stairs and never
no,
came
no,
back.
No, it wasn't just like, hey, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
like he came back when he was older too.
Oh, okay.
Like probably like the second, like season 8, season 9, he came back.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was always like a thing. It was
the
like
monkey never came back.
well, no.
They had to
Was
give it
that
away.
Maurice? What was the monkey's name?
Marcel.
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 They had to give it
Yeah.
away.
They give it away?
Well, 'cause
Yeah,
it's
remember
illegal
then they go visit him on the movie set and they sing
Wimboe,
they sing
Wimboe.
in the jungle.
In the jungle, they sing that to him?
Yeah, you ever saw that? Oh, and then Joey starts doing the really high pitch. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, you got to give it to the monkey.
Okay.
I do have to say that because it's very hard for me to be like, at one point it was very hard for me to be like, who's the worst character? I have to say Ross is probably my least, even though he has funny moments, I think he's my least favorite character.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can see why. Like, he had his moments and stuff like that. I mean, it's like anything, though. People, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, again, I saw the same thing that, like, people watching The Office would be like, Jim was a piece of garbage.
Jim is an asshole, but he's a lovable asshole.
He's picking on the autistic coworker.
Yeah. And he's, with his wife, and, she wants to go to art. He wanted to go and start a business in Philadelphia or whatever he did and all this stuff. So
yeah, he's like the Ross of The Office.
It's kind of the same thing. It's like where people watch it again, they're like, what the hell is this guy's problem? But at the time, I mean, I remember watching it.
He's not like a fundamentally problematic guy. He's just, I think that Racheal always just could have done better. I mean, the only way they ever could have ended...
Doctor, who'd want to do that?
The only way that they ever could have ended this series was for Ross and Racheal to be together. Like, there was no other option. That's what had to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been going on since day one of that show.
But even though I don't think that is what would have happened in real life.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. I forgot that. Yeah,
they had to
have had Tom Selleck could have came back, and she could have married him.
That was Monica.
That's right. She was with.
What a twist!
She was dating. She was with Bruce Willis, right?
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was. I know she was with an older guy at some point.
I heard a story about the Bruce Willis. The whole reason why he did a cameo for like a couple of episodes on that show was because he lost a bet with one of them.
Oh, really?
And so he went in. She said, "If I lose, I'll go on your show."
Yeah, that's funny.
So I thought that
there was a
funny.
bunch of big cameos. Brad Pitt was a cameo.
That's when they were
right.
married.
That's when he was. I always forget he was married to Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
They were married for quite a while too.
I think it was like not crazy long.
Well, like
5 years.
For a while.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I don't know.
Like a
by
few
Hollywood
years,
standards, that's a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean they weren't married forever, obviously, but yeah.
So he was on the show. They had
That was
Sean
a good one
Penn.
too. He hated her, and
Sean Penn.
He hated Jennifer Aniston too, didn't he?
Who?
Brad
on the
Pitt,
show,
yeah.
it was funny because he was like a high school friend and he used to be fat.
Yeah.
And then Racheal was like the mean girl cheerleader. And then they saw each other at Thanksgiving. And she's like, "Ooh, Monica, who's that?" And she's like, "Oh, that's so and so." And she's like, "Really?" Him and Ross were best friends in high school and had a "We Hate Racheal" fan club.
Yeah.
Oh no!
So it was just really funny.
That's too funny.
That's right.
I mean, they had so many great episodes. Like
They did a lot. They had a ton of I forgot because they had Sean Penn on there.
So
Hank
many.
Azaria was on there.
Oh, yeah.
Remember he was the scientist or whatever that Phoebe fell in love with.
The guy that plays Ant-Man.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
Him and Phoebe.
Phoebe.
I was going to say Phoebe Cates, but him and Phoebe.
I think they were
Yeah.
a great couple together. They were so different, but not.
Paul Rudd, man, that guy's been in so many big.
And he never ages.
And he looks the same age, man.
I don't know how he does it. Like, Paul, your secret.
No,
Send it our way.
I know.
He looks the same now as he did in Clueless.
No,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's bonkers.
I had the biggest crush on him in Clueless.
You ever watch Wet Hot American Summer?
No.
Amazing movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Wet Hot American Summer. Paul Rudd's hilarious.
Okay, really quickly
fantastic.
though, I pulled up some of the because I know kids now that are watching Friends, like younger kids who are watching Friends now, clearly it was a 90s show, right? So jokes in the 90s aren't as cool now. There was obviously, so I printed off some controversy of the show Friends. One of the
Prepare to be triggered.
That's right.
No, well, it starts off easy, guys.
Okay.
So it was the break controversy. Ross's repeated insistence that he and Racheal were on a break when he slept with another woman sparked debate about the ethics of infidelity and the portrayal of relationship dynamics. Here's a quick question though. You guys know the whole we were on a break thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you think was right, him or her? Were they on a break or were they not on a break?
Oh,
Oh Jesus.
I don't remember if they were on a break or not.
So the whole breakup
if they
scene,
were, then he was fine.
So the whole breakup.
I'm not saying it's the best.
I'm in no
interview,
position
but
to
if you're-
judge here.
So no, I'm just saying the whole breakup scene was they were fighting and then she's like, "I can't do this anymore. I just need a break." And then he's like, "Okay, let's go get ice cream." She's like, "No, from us." And then he walks away and sleeps with another girl that night. The gray area.
That sounds like
that's a little.
that sounds like they're broken up there.
Now, do I think that
But
Ross
him rebounding like that night.
That's
a little. That's a little.
I think he's in the wrong in that one.
I think so because there was still a chance. The next morning, he could have knocked on her door and been like,
no,
"Are we
exactly.
okay?"
Or to
Let's work
that's what
this
I'm saying,
out. Yeah.
To that night go
he never gave their relationship a chance to fix itself.
Yeah, or even that. Okay, I forgot exactly what happened there, but
her point of view is like they weren't broken up; they were still together. They were just taking a breather. So from her perspective, he literally went out and slept with a girl, even though they were still in a relationship. From his perspective, he's like, "You said we were on a break. We were done."
It seems like what we have here is a failure to communicate.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
I mean, again, was it the smartest decision for him to go drastic?
If this in real life, like in a real life scenario, I mean, that's a really terrible idea.
Yeah. So
and then it's the same thing that you just own it and be like, hey. Yeah. Whatever. And I guess maybe that's what he's trying to do with his we were on a break thing. Be like,
the thing is, he's not really owning it in the sense like, I effed up. I'm so sorry. Like, I mean, he don't. But it's more just like, no, but I did it because you said we were on a break. Yeah. That's sort of the controversy with it. He's like blaming her. It's like, well.
Yeah. She didn't make you sleep with that other woman.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, it's like, you know what? You're a big enough man to go and do that. And you just deal with the, deal with whatever the fallout is of it too. Like, that's,
own it,
like,
brother.
Yeah. Like,
so here's another one which I could see nowadays not being as like, funny, but whatever, is the homophobic jokes. Several episodes include jokes and storylines that are considered insensitive by today's standards. For example, Chandler's struggles with his sexuality and Joey's apparent discomfort with being seen as gay in various situations reflected. Okay, I think ChatGPT got that wrong.
Wasn't there like sort of underlying like Joey and Chandler were sort of like...
No, I don't think so. But it was more just like, okay, look, I'm going to be blunt, you guys listening out there. It doesn't mean I'm ignorant. I'm just going to, sort of repeat of how the jokes went in these shows in the 90s. It was more like, oh my gosh, look, you're wearing that pink shirt. You look so gay. Ha 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 ha. Like it was those kind of jokes, which are clearly not appropriate nowadays.
No.
But back then it was humorous. Or remember when he bought Chandler that bracelet? And he's like, oh, I'm like a little fair twinkle toes with my bracelet, like insinuating because he had a bracelet, he was gay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, clearly by today's standards,
no,
not
those
acceptable.
jokes. No.
Yeah, that would never fly today.
And it's the same. I mean, it's the same thing every year. Like as I talk to people like in the '90s watching Archie Bunker.
Yeah,
go watch it now. People lose their mind and they watch Archie Bunker.
Well, I watch it. My parents do, and I'm like, this is terrible. Why are you watching this?
But it's all satire. So that's the thing too. It's But it's times change, so that's the thing.
It was more like there was no underlying like they were like gay together or anything. It was just the jokes. It was
okay, I get you.
It was very much so like let's be honest. Us growing up, it was like those were the jokes. Like you look so gay. Whatever,
it doesn't make it right. People grow and society grows and changes.
Well, that's
time.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's that 20, 30 years later, you look back like those aren't so.
They're not
those not so cool anymore.
So I can see how I can still watch that show and not be offended, 'cause, again, it's sort of what we grew up with.
Well, it's just different, but
we know it's wrong, but we grew up with it. Whereas 20 somethings now, I could see they'd be like, oh my gosh, it's like hearing racial stuff on TV shows from the 50s or whatever.
No, and that's because you just grow up with it, so it's just kind of like, whereas growing up where you've always heard them never say this is terrible, and then you watch a show and that's all they're saying, you're like, whoa, what the hell is going on? So
so I can see how that's sort of controversial. Another one is transphobia, because Chandler's father was a transgender woman.
Speaking of cameos, Kathleen Turner.
She was a transgender woman, but is portrayed in a way that many view as a negative stereotype. The show's treatment of Charles Bing, especially the use of jokes at the expense of the character's gender identity, has been criticized for reinforcing harmful stereotypes. I could see that.
Yeah,
it was very jokey about how he was a woman now.
I remember them making I remember
there was a lot of
Do I call her
jokes.
mom or dad?
But not even that. Just sort of Chandler's character did make a lot of jokes about it
at the expense of their mother.
So I mean, again, I could see how that is definitely it wasn't I don't even know how to explain it. It wasn't like they had a transgender character on there to show the different people or whatever.
No,
it was more as a humor.
Yeah, it was like you have a woman playing a transgender person who's got that husky voice and kind of
so that's it wasn't sort of to
it wasn't trying
open
to
people's minds,
bring in somebody to be look, they're normal people like everyone else, and it was it's trying to be more butt of their shows at their expense type thing.
And then body image issues, which the show often made jokes about weight and body image, particularly targeting Monica's past obesity.
When she was a bigger girl in high school.
That's right. And there was one where she had some sort of fat suit on or something.
Yeah.
Obviously, it looked like Weird
Yeah.
Al's fat video.
Yeah. And again, like,
Yeah,
I
obviously,
think,
like,
Yeah,
you know,
like-
over the top.
And
But
like,
the-
I'm gonna
I-
eat everything.
I
Ah,
think,
it's
but I
like-
think the underlying thing with it is that it's portrayed that her life now is so much better because she's skinny.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It's
like-
not like, you know, she still could have been overweight and still who she is now. No,
Yeah.
she's only who she is now because she's skinny.
because she
Lost the weight. Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, yeah, I could see how that's definitely
Oh
not.
yeah, no, and now, yeah,
In
I
a
can
positive light,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like everything good happened to her after she.
Lost the weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the last one is cultural stereotypes. Some episodes feature cultural and racial stereotypes, such as the portrayal of Asian characters in a stereotypical manner or the lack of diversity among the main cast, which has been pointed out as a limitation of the show's otherwise wide appeal.
Yeah.
I think just sort of like the homophobic, the gay jokes, the inappropriate gay jokes, it was the same thing for, like, you know, different ethnicities.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else.
I can't think off the
I'm
top
just
of my
I'm
head.
just trying to think of that show, and I don't. Nothing's.
I
standing
can
out
agree.
as,
The
like,
show is
but-
very much whitewashed. Like the
Oh,
cast and
yeah.
even like the secondary
Ensemble,
characters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't a whole lot of you know, diversity there.
I mean,
a lot
I'm
of
just
well, even
trying
like,
to-
like Seinfeld was like that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
yeah, like I
it's
can't
as
even
white as could be.
Yeah,
Really.
even
exactly.
any of the, well, no, they did have in the later seasons. Who was that girl? She was on that show.
Yeah.
What's her name?
She was on Whose Line Is It Anyways and stuff.
Aisha?
Aisha Campbell? No, Taylor.
Aisha
No.
Cook? I don't know. I can't remember.
I know it's gonna bug me.
But
now.
they did have her, and she was in a relationship with Ross and Joey. But
Yeah, that's
I mean,
right,
So they
yeah.
did, but I mean, that was like
At the
one
same
of
time,
no, but like that was
Oh.
one of the only black characters that were really on the show
It might
for
have been
a
the
significant
only
amount of time.
one. Yeah.
I mean, there might have been bit ones, but like for a significant amount of time, like she was pretty much. So yeah, I mean, it was very white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and that's what I said. Like Seinfeld, same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they were all white, but
Yeah.
it's just. And it's it's now you looking back on it, it's like, oh, that's weird.
Well,
Yeah.
and again, because it's just times change, right?
Well, and
Now,
that's exactly it. It's
you know, now TV programs are doing a good job at being like inclusive to all different,
Yeah.
you know, races and
well, especially living
sexuality.
in especially if it's supposed to be a city like New York City, where
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a very it's
Super
like going to
diverse
Toronto,
city.
super
Yeah.
multicultural and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you know, have been to New York a few times. It's
Yeah. So those were sort of the top sort of ones, which I could
Yeah.
see controversy, like people
Oh, yeah.
watching now.
Well, it's like anything, like you said, you know, the show's 30 years old, so stuff doesn't always age as, you know, for
No.
everything. It's like, oh, overall, there's the good in this and that, but you go back and watch it, there's sometimes you're like, oh.
it's the product of its time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, watching movies from like the 70s or the 80s and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know, it's.
So really quickly, we're not gonna talk about each one of these because it doesn't really
Okay.
matter. But it's just, you know, why Friends remains popular today. There's a couple of things
Yeah.
it says: relatable characters, timeless humor, strong ensemble cast, memorable catchphrases and moments, nostalgia, especially, you know,
I think that's a big part of it, I think. Yeah.
universal themes, like friendship, love, career
Yeah,
struggles,
yeah.
all that. Streaming accessibility. I mean, it's
It's everywhere.
find
yeah.
it everywhere.
Yeah, that's a big, yeah.
And cultural impact.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no denying that. That like again, like it's hard. You know, if people weren't around in like the late '90s, like that show was like massive.
It was huge.
Like it was huge. Like and it's like, but there's some of these shows that were just like, I remember like they were like they're like cultural like icons. Some of these people
Yeah.
at the time, like it was crazy. Like the whole like Rachel getting a haircut.
Yeah.
Like who gives
And
a
then
shit?
remember the same season or episode, Monica got a haircut by Phoebe and she said she wanted to get Demi Moore, but Phoebe thought she said Dudley Moore. So she had the
What's
bad
wrong with
haircut.
Dudley Moore's haircut?
He's got amazing head of hair.
Did you ever watch Arthur?
Phoebe, well, that's what it was. So, oh my God, Phoebe was just so funny in so many things because she was just so like
Dudley Moore.
unintentionally funny.
No.
Yeah.
There was one scene, oh my God. Okay, this scene is a memorable scene, but I hated it. It makes me cringe every time. It's Phoebe and Joey together, and she's trying to teach Joey how to speak
Oh yeah,
French.
that was
And he can't, every time
was just
he
annoying.
says something, he's like, hey, poo-poo.
yeah.
And
That-
I'm like, this is bad.
Well,
Yeah,
that
it's
was
like,
also-
it's not even like he's trying.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that was also season 10. So I'll give them some grace. Season 10 was a little bit jump the shark. I mean, it was only
Yeah.
like half the episodes. I mean,
sometimes they start to lean too much into the characters.
Yeah.
They lean too much into the dumbness.
but here's a question
know?
for you guys.
It's
I
like
mean,
Stifler and
Yeah.
American Pie 3. It's
I
like
Too much. Too
yeah,
much.
It's like too much Stifler, not enough. Like
dial it back.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are going to know many of them, but if you had to pick like a secondary character, like not the main ensemble cast, but
yeah.
who would be like your favorite, like most memorable one? I love
man.
Janice.
She was
Janice
funny.
made me
Yeah.
freaking laugh.
Oh my god.
And she repeatedly just kept popping
No, she
up.
was really good, and they did a good job of like these people just kind of pop. Gunther was funny. He always felt bad. He was so
he
in love
passed
with.
away.
Yeah, that was sad. It was
Yeah.
right before that reunion, wasn't it?
It was right after.
Or right after,
Oh,
because he
man.
wasn't there for it or something. But
He did a video in because I think he was sick. He
or
had, like,
yeah.
pancreatic cancer
Yeah.
or something.
Oh, it's awful. I didn't know that.
I mean, he was
Yeah.
good. He was funny on that, like
He was
just that,
just
like
creepy funny, but like
Yeah.
not creepy.
just like desperately in love with Racheal, and
Yeah.
I remember she was working at the coffee shop, and he thought she was she was terrible at her job, but he was like, I don't care, like
Yeah.
I
wanted
know
so
there's
much.
gotta be more. I said I always liked Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould was good.
He was
was
him.
funny.
I feel
his
bad
wife.
that I don't know the woman's name.
Yeah.
Who played his
It was something
wife.
Pickles. I can't remember her name though,
I don't know, but
or Pickler or something.
I was
Mr. Pickles?
Pickles, what a name.
No, but they were really.
But they were
funny
really good
together.
as the parents and stuff like that. I know there's probably more in there, but it was well done. Just a
Like
good
Paul-
cast. Good
I was
ensemble.
waiting for like remember the naked guy across the
Oh, that's
Ugly-
right. Those
ugly
their
naked
bit.
guy.
ugly naked guy. I was
Yeah.
waiting for, did he ever make an appearance?
No, he's just
No.
ugly naked guy.
I thought he might by the end of the series, but never happened.
Yeah,
No, because he died.
Oh shit.
that's right. And
Like
I didn't know
early, like no, because pretty early on, I think he dies because they're like, I don't know if he 100% dies, but remember they make the big stick. To
that's
try
right. They
and
try
poke
and
him?
poke him across
Oh
the
my
way. 'Cause I think he's
God.
dead. That's right.
They don't call 911. They just poke him with a stick.
Yeah, and I mean one of the biggest things of that because and they actually did somewhat explain it, which is funny, but one of the biggest things everybody was always like, how can like a struggling chef afford to live in this giant 2-bedroom apartment in New York City?
Yeah,
That's right.
It's
But
going to cost
then-
thousands of dollars.
It
to be
came
in.
out that it was her grandmother's apartment, and when she passed away she took it over, but her grandma was still on the lease and is rent controlled.
Yeah. So that's
So she was paying rent from like the 1930s
Yes.
or something.
yeah.
So
yeah.
that's how she afforded it, and then she had the roommates obviously, but
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like these people living in New York City, which
well, and then Joey
know.
and Chandler had like the shoebox apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite episodes is when they lose the apartment. Oh my god.
oh, I forgot how they
So
bet on it.
funny.
Yeah.
Like you can just feel Monica's like, no.
Because wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't the final question? What does Chandler do?
What is Chandler Big's job?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Because that was the whole thing. Nobody really knew what he did.
No, and that's the thing. And it's like, yeah, I forgot.
It was. I'm watching the show again.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's talking about these nuts.
Yeah.
It makes me want to watch. I have not. I watched it when it was on,
Yeah.
and I've obviously seen the reruns, but I have never like sat and watched it on like Netflix or
I-
that.
When I finish watching Below Deck, Med Deck, I might I might go watch the rest of Friends. Yeah.
It's so funny, and like it's just you forget how funny it is when you're watching it. I mean, there's a million little like episodes or like
Yeah.
scenes that I can think
Yeah.
of, and yeah, I mean, there's just so much.
Yeah, it was a good show. I mean, 30 years later, I mean, it's still like, is it with Netflix or whatever
Yeah.
the hell it's on right now? I don't even
Yeah.
know, but like,
So-
it's still just as popular. It seems like.
I feel like it's only appropriate, obviously Matthew Perry, we all know he passed away almost a year ago, and he was
Yeah.
a very iconic part of the cast. But watching the reunion show, I haven't read his book yet. I'm sure he talks about it in his book. But
Yeah.
one of the really sad things that he talked about was the fact that I think it's probably normal for a lot of actors,
Yeah.
but he always thought he wasn't funny, and he would,
Yeah.
the audience's reaction to him would determine his like
Yeah.
mood.
Oh, really?
But like to the point where like severely, like most people are
Yeah.
like, ooh, that didn't hit good, but he would like actually just like internalize it, and like it would just be brutal for him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so he put so much pressure on himself, which I mean obviously
probably
led to
didn't- I
the
was gonna say it probably did not help with him. His
Substance
other
abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he was one of the best characters on that show.
Oh, he was great,
Yeah.
but everyone, you're always your own worst critic, right? That's the
true.
thing, right?
So it's just sad because like you just want to be like you were so funny.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard from the cast is he was like the nicest human being on the planet.
good Canadian boy. Yeah.
So I mean, and I have to be honest, out of the whole entire 6 of them, I never have heard anything bad about them like in real life. Like I've never heard that they're douchey or
No,
like,
that's the one thing. Like
assholes.
even like during the run of that show, and you've never.
and even Jennifer Aniston, who I would say is probably the most famous.
After that, definitely she's
Yeah.
the one that after that show
Yeah.
went on to the biggest. Yeah.
But I mean, she seems very like relatable and stuff. Anyway, I mean,
That
I don't
matters.
know.
Yeah.
No,
I
they
don't
all
know
seem.
her,
Yeah.
but-
No. Yeah. We don't know from
And
whole
they've
around,
all aged very well. I'm gonna give them that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The women have aged better than the men.
Yeah, I won't
Yeah.
fight you on that. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
I love a little Matt LeBlanc. Got a little,
Little
Chunky.
salt
I
and
love
pepper,
it.
chunky,
But he
yeah.
little chunky. I love it. He's living his life, but he
Hey.
didn't care. He was just
No,
like,
embrace
yeah.
it. Yeah, he's doing.
Love
Was he
my
doing?
life.
He was doing like Top Gear or something like that, or
Yeah.
he was or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was on Top Gear for a bit.
yeah.
on what?
Top Gear.
It's a.
Oh.
It's a British car show.
Oh yeah, but they just. I mean, if anybody hasn't seen the reunion show they did, try and find it and watch it. It's actually they did a really really good job on it.
Yeah, they're smart. Just enjoy it, embrace it, and celebrate
Yeah.
it, but keep it at that. Yeah, it was well done.
All right, guys, comment below and let us know who your favorite Friends character is. I'm curious because I feel
Yeah.
like they're so tied, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So I
for
want to
sure.
know who your favorite character is and why. But I think that's it. I mean, I could talk about Friends forever, but we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, 30. We'll talk
Yeah.
about it again in another 30 years.
Are we still going to be doing this in 30 years?
Who knows where
We'll
we'll be in
find out,
30 years
yeah.
from now?
Oh dear.
If I have my teeth, I'll be happy.
Yeah, if I'm not wearing a diaper, I'll be happy.
As long as I'm above ground, I'll be happy.
All right, guys, we thank you so very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
I'll be there.